So welcome to today's session. If everyone just wants to put themselves on mute, and then that way there's just like no background noise, and obviously we can take it off mute at the end. I've got some notes here just because I've got quite a few things I want to talk through today and want to obviously make sure I capture that. So welcome, I hope everyone's okay. So today's talk is about how to shift your money mindset and discover your money story. So firstly, I want to start a little bit with my story and my money story and what it was like growing up for me. So when I was growing up, I'd hear my parents say things like, you know, you've got to look after the pennies, and the pounds will look after themselves. Money doesn't grow on trees. Don't borrow or lend money. You know, every penny counts. It all adds up. And the way my parents were with money, it was actually quite different. It's quite interesting because my mum was quite frugal, and she would.
Now, so she can't hear you, and then ask any question. So how do you get that to come up?
Just mute themselves. I don't know who it is that's speaking. Claire, can you just mute yourself?
Oh, am I unmuted? Sorry, yes, apologise for that. Sorry.
No problem at all.
Is it better now? Great. Got it. Thank you.
You're not muted yet. I can't see mute you my end. Maybe Paul can.
Yeah, we're working on doing that this end, Suzie.
Thanks, all sorted, brilliant. So yeah, the way my parents were around money was quite different. So my mum was very, you know, she was quite frugal. She would be very much like, sometimes she would buy gifts for Christmas and birthday from a car boot sale, secondhand gifts, etc. Whereas my dad was a lot more extravagant with his money. He'd always want to buy the best quality because, you know, he believed it lasted longer. He wanted to have the best car and, you know, a really nice TV. And so it was very different styles and experiences that I learned from my parents. And my parents actually had me out working at the age of 12. I know, slave labour. It was actually a week before my 13th birthday. I was doing the paper round. But I grew up with the belief that, you know, you have to get a 9-to-5 job, you know, you have to work hard to make money, etc. So I want to share that because our money story is a result of our upbringing, and the beliefs that I now have around money, which I do a lot of work on daily, is I don't have enough. Like, that's my money story. I don't have enough. I can't afford this. It's hard to make money. But as I say, I'm doing work on that. So I want to share with you a little bit more about where our thoughts and beliefs come from and how they're formed around money. So as you might gathered, or you might even know already, they come from our childhood years. So up to about age 6 or 7, we live in what's called our pre-conscious years. And effectively, we don't have a filter. We don't have that RIS, the reticular activating system, which filters out information. We are like a sponge, and we take everything in. And it's during these years that we effectively create the meanings, you know, our beliefs, and, you know, the meaning that are. We create our beliefs. We model our caregivers, so we model our parents, maybe our older siblings, aunts and uncles, teachers, etc. So we may hear things around us. So for example, we may see, this isn't particularly a money example, but it's one that I typically use because it kind of helps people see how easy it is to create a belief of an experience or something that someone said. So imagine I might have shared this one before, so apologies if I have, but it's still relevant. So imagine you're a 5-year-old child and you've drawn this piece of artwork and you've come up to show your dad, and he's on the phone. He picks it up, puts it on the side, and turns away from you and carries on with his phone conversation. You may create a belief at the time that you're not good enough, you're not loved, you're not a good artist, you're not important, etc. The fact of the matter is that dad's actually on a really urgent phone call, and he has to deal with that phone call, and he'll look at the picture after. So we can create positive or negative beliefs in our childhood around different areas of our life, including money. So I just really want to talk about how, when we're young, we create those beliefs about money. So what do you remember your parents saying to you about money? Did they say things like money doesn't grow on trees? Pop into the chat box what you remember, because we create our beliefs and our money story through those pre-conscious years and what comes up for us and what we learn from other people. So pop in the chat box what comes up from you. Yeah, count the pennies, Tinya. Same, money doesn't grow on trees. And that's kind of that scarcity mindset. You have to count the pennies because, you know, every single penny counts. That desperation that like every single penny counts. And I'm showing my age now, but both my parents were World War II babies, born in 43 and 44. So their parents had the mentality of like, let's be frugal, we have to ration, we don't have enough. So that goes down through, you know, our generational patterns, saying money doesn't grow on trees. So yeah, really interesting. So what happens when we create these beliefs in our childhood years? We take them into our adult years, and it's effectively like having the same iTunes playlist playing over and over and over again. So it's time that we change that playlist and change it to something more positive, because effectively our thoughts create our reality. What we think affects how we feel affects how we act, and how we act affects our outcome. If you're not academic, you won't make money. That's an interesting one. Buy only what you can afford. Yeah, so you're putting limitations on that. That's scarcity mindset. Yeah, fantastic. So an action that you can take away to start flipping this: live within your means. Yep. An action that you can take away to explore this a little bit more is just get curious about your money thoughts. Like, notice what comes up for you when you think about money. Like, we're exploring it a little bit now, and people have been, you know, very open, which I appreciate. Thank you, sharing what their money stories were when they came up, what came up for them as a child, what their parents said to them. So get really curious about, you know, when you notice that thought and you want to buy something and maybe you sort of say, oh no, money doesn't grow on trees, just get curious with that thought and ask yourself, oh, you know, that's an interesting thought. Why am I thinking that? Like, where did that come from? And just take a moment to explore that and investigate it, because it's almost like looking outside, looking in, and ask yourself, is it true? You know, yes, money doesn't grow on trees. We know that, it's a metaphor, but things like, oh, it's expensive, can I afford it? Just explore it and just get curious about it and explore where it came from. I think that would be like the first step that I would say to exploring your beliefs around money. So hopefully that's helpful so far. Let me know if this is of use to you and of interest and it's helpful in the chat box. So let's go a little bit deeper with this and look at how we can discover our money story. So everyone has a money story, everyone, whether they realize it or not. Even the people that have loads of money, like Richard Branson, they have a money story, but it may be that their money story, maybe they've done the work on their money story, and their money story is, you know, they've worked on it and it's more positive, which is maybe why they've been able to create the success they've created. Maybe they still have some limiting beliefs around money. So I want to share some examples, and I know we've discussed some in the chat box already. I'd love to share some examples of what a money story looks like, and then I'll explain to you how you can find your money story, what I've done to find mine, how it was really insightful and helpful, and then we'll talk a bit more about how you can flip the switch on that. So some examples I've got around money stories. So I'm bad, and please do type in the chat box as I read these out. If that resonates with you, just put a yes, you know, in the chat box, or just write down the money story that I've written out so we can, you know, we can all join in. So some examples are: I'm bad with money, I can't save, I never have enough, I can't make enough, I feel guilty and ashamed for my debt, making money means that I'm taking it from someone else, real success is hard to achieve, I'm bad at paying off debt, saving money is a struggle, you always have to evaluate every purchase, you can always get it cheaper. Let's check the chat box. I can't make enough. Audrey, thank you. And then money doesn't grow on trees. I know a couple of people have shared that one. So Audrey and Emmanuel, you shared that one. So living within your means is the best way to live. And again, I know someone mentioned that. Emmanuel says, I can always get it cheaper. Same as Jodie. Liz has said, in terms of current times, always need to evaluate what I'm spending. Yeah, okay. So other examples are wealthy people are evil. God doesn't want us to have money. Only skinny people can be rich. You shouldn't make a lot of money by helping other people. Spiritual people, you know, shouldn't charge for their services. I never have enough money for what I want. Life is too expensive. And the last one is, I don't have enough. That is my money story. Worried about having enough for the future. I got used to living on a budget, so I feel guilty if I spend too much, so I hesitate and then do not buy. Okay, and that's your money story. That's holding you back from stepping into that abundance. So did people resonate? People obviously resonate with some of those money stories that I've shared today. And as I say, we all have a money story, but we can do something about that. But how does it make you feel when you think about your money story? Does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel bad? What comes up? You know, maybe it takes you back to a childhood memory of, you know, your mum or dad telling you something about money. Like I remember my parents, particularly my dad, would be like, don't borrow or don't lend money. Emmanuel saying I got better at saving money. Fantastic. But the thing is, these money beliefs are just beliefs, and they're based around fear. But as with most fears, fear is most of the time, just false evidence appearing real. And what it does is it just keeps us stuck. So imagine for a moment a different life, if you will. Imagine having the holidays that you want to have, having more time freedom, pursuing your hobbies and refurbishing your home, maybe going to the theatre and out for nice meals. Just really like step into that picture. Because when we know our money story and have that awareness of the story that we're telling ourselves, that is when things can start to shift for us. So I want to share another action that you can take away. Actually, no, before I share that, I want to share 3 concepts. And these are 3 concepts that my coach shared with me, which I think are really powerful. So I want to share them with you as well. Okay, so the first one is you have the power to control your thoughts. Now, I talked about this in previous webinars. I talk about it quite a lot because we do. We have the power to flip the switch. We have the power to create that awareness around what our money story is, what's holding us back, and flipping the switch to a more positive thought. So we don't have to let our mind control us, which is the next point. You have a mind, but you are not your mind. And for me, that's a really powerful statement. And what it means is that you do not have to let your mind take over. You are your mind. You get to choose what you think and feel by changing your thoughts. It takes time, it takes practice, but the more you do it, the more you reprogram your brain to create a new reality for yourself. So Liz says, I regret not having made the most of the money I made in terms of investment during my highest earning years. Okay, yeah, fantastic. So, you know, what did you learn from that? What can you take away from that? Instead of, you know, focusing on regret, can you flip the switch and say, I'm grateful for having had that money and, you know, for, you know, the way it served me when it was available. As I shared in last week's webinar, I got scammed out of a cryptocurrency scheme, Bitcoin, and I lost a lot of money. And for some time I felt guilty, I felt shame. I didn't forgive myself. But a great way to flip the switch for that is to just go, well, I'm so grateful for the money that I had at the time and the things that I could buy, such as my beautiful winter coat and this opportunity here and, you know, taking an Uber into London. So I reflect back and look at what it did give me, and that focusing on what, you know, what you had and instead of focusing on what you haven't got right now. So I want to share an action step with you that you can take away in terms of shifting what I call automatic thoughts. So we have up to something like 60 or 90,000 thoughts going through our head in any one day. Okay, so our thoughts and the images create our reality because the brain works in thoughts and images. So when you flip the switch and you create new words and you create new images, then you can flip the switch and you can feel better. So I want to share some examples, and I want to encourage you to go away and do this yourself. And that is, so the examples would be, instead of saying I can't afford it, say I can afford it. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. It's literally a message you're sending to your brain. You're reprogramming your brain to start believing more positives. And then once you start doing that and you start flipping the switch, you'll be surprised what comes into your life. And again, you can flip words. So debt can be investment, like, you know, like a student loan, for example. Yes, it is a debt, but it's also an investment in your education. Okay, you can flip expensive to premium or high quality. Okay, and one of I said to you earlier that I would share, sorry, my stomach's rumbling. I was going to share with you the tool that I use that really helped me discover my money mindset or my money story, and really discover the theme underneath and where it came from. So it's simply, you can either use Evernote or OneNote or an app online or a notepad, whatever you prefer. But for 2 or 3 days, every time a negative thought comes into your mind about money, like I know we've had some here, like you can always get it cheaper. Write that down. So you're not going to capture everything, but write it down. And then after 2 or 3 days, flip the switch on it and write down the opposite. Go through that list, however long it is. Maybe it's going to pull a couple of pages. Go through that list and then pull out the core themes. So what was really interesting when I did this, I said that I don't have enough 14 times, and those were only the thoughts that I captured. So that was my money story. I don't have enough. And when you create the awareness around your money story, i.e. for me, I don't have enough, I can start flipping the switch on it. I can say I have enough, or I have enough for what I need right now. So hopefully that is useful for you. Just to share some other examples as well, just so you can get an idea of how you can keep flipping the switch, is, say for example, you're saying wanting money means I'm greedy. You can flip that to I always have enough money for all of my desires and the life that I want. Again, don't get caught up in thinking, oh, but I don't know how, or I don't believe it. It doesn't matter. You will simply reprogram your subconscious brain, okay? Another one, life is too expensive. Who feels that right now? Life is too expensive, right? So you can flip that again to wanting money means I'm normal and fabulous. I love that one. So imagine a life where your dreams and your desires are bigger than your fears. What would your life look like without those fears? And do you believe that you have the potential to earn more money? Do you believe that you can pay your bills? If you don't, flip the switch, change your language, okay? So I want to move on and talk about how how focusing more on the positives and the negatives will help you flip the switch even more and help you shift your money mindset. So as I've said before, and this is something I talk about quite a lot because it's so relevant and so important, is that the brain filters out what we focus on. So the RAS, the reticular activating system, is literally a filter that filters out what we focus on. So if you're constantly focused on, I don't have enough money, how am I going to pay this? And you're getting stressed and anxious, the brain thinks that's what you want more of because you're spending so much of your time focusing on it. So it will give you, you'll find things to worry about, you'll find things to fret about. So when you start to shift your money mindset and to change that story and change your language and shift to the positive, you will start feeling more positive. You will start, you will go from that overwhelm and worry to that hope and optimism, because when we change our language, it literally affects our physiology. And I know I've talked about this before, in the sense that if you say a negative word, like if you say debt, what comes up for people when you say the word debt? Does it feel heavy? Pop in the chat box. Do you feel anxious? Do you feel stressed? Do you feel overwhelmed? Like most of us have debt. So pop in the chat box what comes up for you emotionally or physiologically in your body when you say that word debt. And then again, notice the difference when you say the word investment. So just explore that one and pop in the chat box if you want to, if that's relevant to you. So I want to give you an example. So you've got the weight loss experts. So debt would make me panic, worry and stress, scary, feel out of control. Investment equals a better future. A big black hole when I think of debt, scared by debt, excited by investment. Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you want to feel scared? Do you want to feel scared, or do you want to feel excited? I want to feel excited. Hands up, who wants to feel excited? Paul's hand, yeah, brilliant. We all want to feel excited over feeling scared. Dawn's a yes, Thomas is a yes. Exactly, we want to feel excited, and we can do this. We have the power to control our mind, and it starts with your language. It starts with the images in your head, okay? So start flipping it and feel excited and let go of that worry and stress. Yes, it will keep coming back, but the more you reprogram your mind, the more you become aware of your language and shift it, the more positive and excited you will feel, right? So weight loss experts. So weight loss experts, there's those that will focus on eliminating food from your diet. Like for me, it'd be cheesy chips, because that's like my go-to, or the pizza I had a couple of days ago. But it's about, you know, they focus on eliminating like the negative things. So all the focus is on eliminating. And then you have the weight loss experts that focus on putting all the good stuff in your diet, getting, you know, the omega-3 and the protein and all the good stuff. So when you focus on the good stuff, you feel excited again. So it's an example of how, you know, weight loss experts can either focus on the negative or focus on the positive, and how we can, again, can feel different. So focus on what you want to achieve, not excuse me, not what you don't want to achieve. Focus on what you want to create in your life. It is possible. And what I'd say is get clear on your money goals, because money money needs to have a purpose. So get clear on what you need to earn each month and what you want to earn. And then decide, what do you want to spend that money on? What do you need to spend that money on? Do you want to spend it on going to the theatre once a month or every 3 months? Give money a purpose, okay? So I realise I'm probably running a little bit over time, but I'll go through as quickly as I can, Paul. So money mantras. So money mantras are great. And again, it's an action point that I'd love for you to take away if you don't do all this already. So you can practice money mantras, and I've got some examples here. Like, I always have enough money for all my desires. I am a money magnet. Making money is easy. I'm wealthy. I'm rich. I see myself with, and then insert your monthly income or your yearly income. Abundance is my natural state. Money flows to me easily and effortlessly. I choose wealth and abundance. It's safe for me to have money. Every day is a wealthy day. So there's different ways that you can implement. Thomas says he visualizes where I want to be, and this has worked for me. Taking small steps will lead to some form of freedom. Yes, exactly. And I've talked about visualization. I think it was last week, wasn't it? It's hugely, you know, it's a big thing. Visualization can really help us, because we're sending those pictures to our mind as to what we want to achieve. And over time, our brain will find ways to bring that in. So how can we implement these money mantras? Well, there's different things that I do that work for me. So I have these little cute love hearts. So this one here says, I love abundance I have abundance in every area of my life. I stick them around my flat. So I just see it all the time. I read them. I keep sending that message to my brain that I am abundant, that it is my reality, and my brain will find a way to make that happen. You can record yourself repeating a statement or repeating your money mantras and listen to it as part of your morning routine or throughout your day. Again, journaling and writing down the mantra, that's a great one. So I write down the money mantra of I'm making money is easy 20 times, in the morning as part of my morning routine. You can set alarms on your phone with a phrase that you use. So my one goes, and my phone's off now, otherwise it will probably just blare, but it says making money is easy. So I'm constantly reminded every day, as is my brain, that making money is easy. And I just took on a new client, so there you go. You can change your password, so you can change the name of your bank account. So mine says, it says how much I want to achieve as my monthly income. You can create a vision board of what you want to achieve or what you will do with the money, like what purpose the money has. So these are all different things you can use to just reprogram your mind. So I'll just summarize what we discussed. So we can create our thoughts and beliefs from what we hear and experience in our childhood. That is where our money story comes from. That's where our thoughts and beliefs come from. And we can reprogram our mind. We can get curious with our thoughts, and we can explore where they came from, and just let them go effectively. We've explored how you can find your money story by noticing the thoughts that come up around money for 2 or 3 days, writing them down as they come up, and then flipping the switch on them, reading through that and find out what your core theme is, what your core money story is. And then we focus on how focusing more on the positives than the negatives, and using money mantras can give you a strategy to again reprogram your mind for more success around money. So I just want to check in chat box. So Liz said debt, bad memories in the past, investment feels good, achievement, able to look after my future for my child. Wonderful, brilliant. Emmanuel says can't visualize. Okay, Emmanuel, if you struggle to visualize, get into the feeling of what you would like to feel instead. Get into what you hear, what you'd like to hear. Would you like to hear that ka-ching, you know, of PayPal, or, you know, what would you like to hear? Would you like to, you know, hear yourself telling someone, oh my God, I've made this amount of money this month, or I got a pay rise? So if you're not great at visualization, get into that feeling of what you can hear. So just to wrap up, if you'd like to connect with me, then please send me a connection request on LinkedIn. Great, thank you, Manuel. Just send me a connection request on LinkedIn. Don't worry about a message. I accept all connection requests. If you'd like to find out more about working with me, again, just drop me a DM. And Paula also mentioned that I'm to say it's okay to mention this, but I've recently, and I'm really excited about this, I've launched my first ebook, Getting More Leads, and Getting More Leads, oh, I forgot what it's called now, Getting More Leads by Understanding Your Niche and Standing Out from the Crowd. So this ebook is designed for people, it's designed for executive assistants, ideally, who are now starting to think about building a virtual assistant business going forward. And I know that when I set up my business, I definitely took the approach of just throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping it would stick. And that's not going to be the great way if people do want to build a virtual assistant business, or if you have a virtual assistant business already and you want to get even clearer on your niche. Then the ebook covers understanding your why, discovering your ideal client, identifying your niche, money mindset, which we've talked a bit about today, finding and researching your ideal client, and how to get noticed by your ideal client. It's £27. I'll pop in the link in the chat, but you can also see it on my, oh, thank you, Meg. I didn't know you were here. Meg said it was an amazing book. She read it recently and wrote me such a beautiful testimonial, which I'm so grateful for. Thank you. So I will just pop in the link into here if that's relevant for anyone. If not, it's not a problem, but if you know of anyone that you think that will benefit, then just pass it on. Otherwise, I will open up the chat for Q&A. How did everyone find that? Was it useful? Was it interesting? I'd love to hear your feedback.
As always, Susie, it was definitely really interesting. It's nice to have different people's different viewpoints on how to think and what have you. So I can see from the chat that's coming through that people did really find it interesting. So whilst everyone's here, as always, I'll take this opportunity to say thank you so much for your time and the kind of weekly effort that you're putting into these sessions. Building quite a nice little following.
We've got quite a few people on stage, probably about 15, 20, 25.
Yeah, I think we topped at 40 at one point, which is good. And there seems to be a nice little kind of community that are always kind of logging on to these sessions.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've seen Audrey before. I know Jodie's, comes here, I think every week now. And she popped me, bless her, a message on my inbox just to say thank you. And, it means so much to me, because obviously there's stuff that goes on behind the scenes in terms of, putting the content together and doing any research to make sure that I've got all the information that I want to share. Victoria says, I feel guilty making a luxury purchase, as there are so many vulnerable people out there struggling. Is that normal? Yeah, it's absolutely normal. It's absolutely normal. And it is your money story, feeling guilty around spending money. And Victoria, what I'd say is explore that, get curious with it. Why am I thinking that? Where did it come from? Is it something your mum or dad said? Is it something that you remember, someone saying to you in your childhood? Where has it come from? And remember to flip the switch. I just want to read something. It's private, so I'm not going to read it out. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that, Pilly. Fantastic. Audrey, you sent me a message privately as well. Okay, if anyone wants to send messages privately and wants to find out more about how I can help them or anything else, then please just pop me a DM. I just want to make sure that people's questions are answered as we just wrap up today. Liz has said, such a helpful idea to get curious with your thoughts, especially as our thoughts are often so automatic. Yes, absolutely. And there is a book that I have just purchased, if there is anyone that is interested in exploring more about their automatic thoughts. It's a book called Conscious Language by Robert Tennyson. I've just downloaded it on Kindle, so I can't wait to read that. But yeah, we do have a lot of automatic thoughts, and just becoming aware of that and exploring that and flipping the switch. So yeah, great ideas and fun too. Yeah, always fun. I always bring fun into my talks, absolutely. Okay, so Victoria, was that helpful in terms of answering your question? Just wait for Victoria to reply. But what I will say, Victoria, yeah, it's perfectly normal. It's just your money story. It's keeping you stuck. Flip the switch, explore it. Victoria said, yes, thank you. So that's great. So does anyone else, we've got quite a few people on. Does anyone else have any questions that they'd like to ask me here now? If not, then just pop me a DM and I'll be, I'll answer those over the next day or so. No, I think that's it, Paul. I think we are good.
Brilliant. Well, look, thank you once again so much, Suzie. It's it's been a great kind of journey so far to kind of have these weekly things in place. And
Yep.
as I say, it seems that everyone's really enjoying the content and the bits and pieces that you're putting together. And I know how much work goes behind the scenes to kind of just put even just half an hour. I know how much work goes into it. So thanks so much for all your time and effort and energy. I really appreciate it, and on behalf of everyone else, I know that they do as well. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. Audrey said thanks to Paul for organising. Yes, thank you to Paul for organising. Definitely, let's please give him a clap as well, because yeah, Meg's just given this little emoji clap. I don't know if you can see it, Paul, but Paul has done a wonderful job of bringing together an amazing platform for assistants and other people, as we go through this time of change and uncertainty, to bring together a community. And it's an absolute honor for me to be part of this community and to be able to serve and support people. But I'd definitely like to give a shout out and a thanks to Paul for actually making this happen. And I'm not the only speaker, there's other speakers throughout the week. So thank you very much, Paul, as well.
No worries at all. I really appreciate you saying that. That means a hell of a lot. It's not why I'm doing it, but it means a lot for you to say that. So thank you. So look, thanks for everyone logging in. We all really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing Suzie again same time next place. Same time next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I'll be back here next Wednesday at 11 o'clock, and I will get the topic to you by Friday at the latest, Paul. So Paul will send that out. So just keep an eye out for his post to find out what's coming next week.
Fantastic. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.